I am so excited to do this video. Today we are going to be swatching all of the multi-chromes and duochromes and some of my favorite palettes. Find a drink and maybe a snack because it's about to be a long one. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Heather Eaglen. I love all things makeup, especially colorful makeup and indie brands. If you love those things too, then I highly recommend that you subscribe and click the little bell for notifications of all my future uploads. I hope to see you in the next one. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, these are in no particular order, but I did try to group them by brands. I will have the names of the palettes pop up on the bottom of the screen as we go. First, let's start with the NOMAD Royal Europe palette. This is the second NOMAD palette in my collection. The first one I got a few years ago in a BoxyCharm, and I hated it. They've since changed their formula, and their new formula is awesome. I do have glitter glue on my arm just so I can really show the shifts of the shades, and that's typically how I use a multi-chrome anyways, is on top of a glitter glue. So first we're going to go in with Imperial Crown. A very pretty green to gold shade. So pretty. This is a very fall-esque palette. I really love the color story of this. I was most excited for this palette than I have been in a very long time for a release. This one is a green to gold to a turquoise, and it is called Royal Orb. These are very high impact multi-chromes. They are absolutely stunning. I'm trying to get the bend of my arm because you can kind of see it on the edges, the shifts. Next is Bleu de France. I know I butchered that because unfortunately I cannot speak French. I would love to learn, but I have a bad habit of starting things and then not finishing them. I started to try to learn Spanish this year and I got pretty far on it, and then my dad passed away and I kind of dropped it and I have not started back up again. So I would love to learn French after I finish the first language I've tried to learn. It is a very pretty shade. It is, let me try to deepen up these outer edges here. Very beautiful. I think my glitter glue is drying. Okay, we have St. Edward's Crown next. It's a very vibrant purple. Very pretty. It's got a cobalt blue shift to it. This one, let me look at the palette. The first purple one is more of a blue base, and then it's got that purple shift. And then the bottom one is more purple with a bright blue shift. Turn off the light so you can really get the impact there. So beautiful. This is my favorite shade for sure. It's oh, that one's stunning. That's probably my favorite, actually. So pretty. The mattes in this palette are really good too. My only thing with it though is it's not a standalone palette for me because the shades in it are so deep that I can't, it's really hard for me to get them to really blend out. They're pretty much mostly mid-tones on my skin tone, but I really don't mind adding palettes to a look, using multiple palettes, but it's hard when you're uploading videos to do that because People want to see looks with one palette. That's just how it is. Next we have my Unearthly Lore palette. It's very pretty. I'm talking about these two duo chromes for this. I think that one too, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to stick to the top two shades because I do have quite a few palettes to get through here. First, we're going to do Serpent. As you can see, that's a beautiful shade. It's like a very orange, peach, green leaning shade, and it is stunning. This one's more pink, and there's like a green glitter reflect in it. This is the shade Sphinx, and it's like a pink with a green reflect. It's very pretty. It's more of a duochrome. Next, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Weirdos palette. There's quite a few. There's 3 multi-chromes in this. One is an iridescent topper shade. Okay, first we're going to do shade Glamour. Very pretty. It's another one of those fall-like shades. These were last year's Halloween release, and I cannot freaking wait to see what they release this year. I'm waiting on my summer mystery box. I bought the large one. I wish I would have bought them both, but it is what it is. But I'm so excited to create a video with that. That's beautiful. It's like a fiery red, gold, green combo. You can really see the shifts in that one. Then we're gonna do the Weirdos. These ones are really pretty on a black base. I've used these palettes, the multi-chromes in these, on the black base, and I really love them. There's a yellow shade in one of these palettes that is my favorite. That's so deep and just rich. Here you go, you got the shifts. Like I said, this is like an iridescent, but it's stunning. I really want to buy her multi-chrome palette. It's $88, which is a lot of money, but I just know that it's going to be worth it. And one day, hopefully soon, I will get my hands on it. There's so many shifts in this shade that I can't even begin to explain it. It's just beautiful. And that shade is called Feather. And again, this is the Weirdos palette. Next, we are going to do the Heather Austin collab, the Resurgence palette. This palette shocked the shit out of me. The fact that you can put them with one shade, like what one? This one. If you put it with the pink, it has like the purple flip. But if you put it with the blue, it looks blue. This one looks orange with some shades, but it's also green if you put it with that one. First, let's start at the top, which is this Creation shade. It's kind of like, on my arm, it looks like a pewter, but on a look with the blue, it looks blue. It's very hard to describe. You see all the shifts in that, and it is just so pretty. It's like a brown to a bright blue. And then we have, let's see, I don't want to do them all. We'll do Solar Symbol and Transformation. I don't think those ones are multi-chromes. On my arm, that looks peach. But when I did an eye look the other day, I have a video on my channel. I will pop it up. That shade was green. Now, last shade in this palette we're going to do is Transformation. These are more duochromes. There we go. See, that's a very beautiful shade. This one is from last year's Halloween release too. It's the 1964 palette. The art on the front of this is really pretty. It is on all her palettes, but let me see. Yeah, these aren't multi-chromes, but I'll swatch them for you before I start back on the multi-chrome so you guys can see how pretty and shimmery They are, I love them, but the reason I'm diving into this palette is for the 1964 shade. There we go. That's 1964. It's like a bright purple, cobalt blue, and a teal, or turquoise, my bad. So beautiful, so impactful, so shiny. Okay, next we have the So Strange palette. I've said it in many videos, but this one has one of my favorite multi-chromes in my whole collection. And that would be the Unusual shade. This shade looks like bright yellow in the pan. It's like very loose in here because I've dug into this. I wish I had a single of this as well. I did hear that she wants to recreate these palettes. She can't re-release them because something about the pigments that she used for them, but she wants to reformulate it a little and re-release. It's like a fiery yellow. There's like a peach flip and an orange flip. You can see it just a little bit. If you put this on a black base, I also have a short where I did that on my channel, and if I can remember, I will link it in the cards. Next, we're gonna do Scared of Sheets. This is like a white with a green flip. These are so flaky, but they're so beautiful, so I don't care. Like, they're too pretty. They're very flaky. It looks very wet. That's the thing about her multi-chromes that I love so much. And that's the reason I think they're so flaky is because it gives it that wet look when you put them down. If you put them on top of a glitter glue, you don't have any issues with fallout or anything like that. Next is my Angelica Nyqvist Club Nebula KALEIDOS collab. This is the first like expensive palette in my collection that I've bought. Let's do this. Y'all don't need to see this mess today. And as you can see, I've hit pan on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades in this, which is crazy. I really don't even want to swatch this because I'm almost out. I heard one of the KALEIDOS highlighters is close to this Nova shade, which was my favorite inner corner shade in the palette and topper shade. If you know which highlighter that might be, will you please let me know? Because I would like to repurchase this. I really loved this palette so much. I used it. It's one of the most used palettes in my collection by far. My favorite row is this top row, but it's like a purple blue iridescent and it's so beautiful. The KALEIDOS Escape Pod. I have not had this one very long. My first palette from KALEIDOS was the Angelica Nyqvist one, and this was my second. It looks like the only duochrome in here is going to be this Space Oasis. This is a palette that I bought last fall. So like I said, I haven't gotten a ton of use out of it, but I do like it and I love the color story. I really want to try the KALEIDOS highlighters. It has like a blue shift. It's kind of a periwinkle. So pretty. Leona Dragon Fruit palette. My only beef with this palette is the packaging. While it's pretty, it sucks. My lid is taped on. Like, it broke really like as soon as I got it. First, we're gonna go with Bubbles up here at the top. This was a Emily Violet Marie, I think is the collaborator in this palette, and I do love the color story. And I've got a lot of use out of this one also. This is a iridescent topper. Again, it's the shade Bubbly. Matches my nails like perfectly. It's like a green gold. These are beautiful. Okay, and then I don't think all of these are multi and duochromes. So I'm not going to swatch them all. I'm just going to swatch the ones that I do see the obvious flip in. And if there's anything you would like to see further, or maybe you would like to see this whole palette swatched, just let me know and I will gladly make a short and tag you in it. This one's a pink with a gold green flip. It's beautiful. Really love that shade. It's one of my favorites in the palette. And that one was Dragon Teeny, and I don't know how to say this one, but it's the other big shade in this palette. That one's pretty as well. That's a duochrome. It's like a pink gold. Beautiful. This is one of my favorite multi-chrome palettes in my collection. This is the Heather Austin and ADEPT collab. So beautiful. And we're gonna swatch almost all of these. Okay, we're gonna start up here with the shade Video Chat. So pretty. This was in my favorite fall palettes video, which I will also try to link up in the cards. And this really is like the perfect fall palette color story. And that shade is just so beautiful. It's like the epitome of fall. Now we're going to go into shade Passport. The ADEPT shimmers are really pretty too. This is the only ADEPT shadow palette that I own. They're a very kind of expensive brand. So I don't purchase from them a lot, but I do love them. When Heather did this collab, I had to get it. There was no way I could pass up on it. I'll just go ahead and swatch them all, but I don't think they're all multi-chromes. This is the shade So Excited. There we go. So beautiful. And I don't think that it might be a duochrome. And then we have 0603. I wonder what the numbers stand for, or if that's just something that ADEPT decided to name these. But that's beautiful as well. They look very wet looking. And then we have Scrubs. I know this one is at least a duochrome. It's like a purple blue shift. Yes. Very pretty. And then we have the shade Austin, which is Heather's last name for those of you who don't know. I will link her channel below if I can remember. That's a beautiful shade. It's one of my favorites in the palette. And then we have Smith. Okay, there we have the shade Smith. I will tell you my favorites in this collection are this, and this. So beautiful. And there we have the Heather Austin and ADEPT collab. Next we have Theresa is Lethal. This is the second collab she did with Lethal Cosmetics, and I wasn't lucky enough to get the first one, but I do love the second one. And there's one shade I want to swatch in here, which is Space Trash. This is a really pretty color story. There we go. Very pretty. And let's do the silver just for fun, because this is one of the prettiest silvers I've ever seen. And I don't even like silver, but I do like that one. It's just beautiful. Next, we have this green palette from Lethal Cosmetics. I cannot remember the name of it, and annoyingly, it's not on this palette, so I will look for it and put it at the bottom of the screen. But I want to swatch this top shade and then this purple shade. This blue is just everything. You can kind of see the shift in there. Very pretty, and it's very pretty when put with that neon greenish yellow and then that green right there. And then here's another one of those pewter-like shades, like what was in Heather's palette. Actually, they're very similar, almost identical. You could probably tell which one I'm even talking about. Very beautiful palette. Okay, next I have my Cosmic Brushes palette. Some of these have an iridescent in them, and that's what I'm going to swatch in those two. But this one does have a multi-chrome. This is the multi-chrome in this palette, and it has an iridescent shade as well. This multi-chrome has such a high impact, and it's insane that I think I paid like $32 to $35 for this palette, and it has a multi-chrome in it that looks like that. Like, wow. And then we have, that was the shade Sprinkles. This is the shade Delicious. Very pretty. It kind of looks like the Nova shade too in the KALEIDOS palette. Very pretty. Be a pretty highlight too. We have the Muse palette. And I want to swatch this shade up here. This is called Luster. This one is a more purple flip, and this one is more pink. Let me swatch it again so you guys can actually see it. It's a very light topper shade, but it really adds to a look. If you know, you know. You know? Now this one has this topper shade, and it is called Opal, and it's self-explanatory completely. Very beautiful. I'll do this one down here, and then that's it. This is like one of those blurple shades. Very beautiful. It's like a blue-purple shift. The purple with a blue shift. ODENS eye palettes. This is the Giant Wolves, and this was the collab by Annette, and it's so beautiful. This blue shade, this palette is freaking gorgeous. The color story she came up with is truly one of my favorites in my collection, and I really wish I could use this palette more. It's kind of on my arm. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's kind of like a blue base with a pink flip, but on camera I see some green in there. It's really cool. And then we have this iridescent shade on top. The blue one is called Eternal, and the iridescent one is called Astral, which on the arm they look similar, but on the eye they really don't. Like, hold on, I'll show you what I mean. Let me swatch this blue matte. And then we'll swatch it on here. It really transforms it. You could really see that pink. There you go. Now you can see. It's crazy that these two shades are the same. Next is the other Angelica Nyqvist collab. This is the Hela palette with ODENS eye. The artwork on the front of this is beautiful. And the shade that I want to swatch in here are these two. This is an iridescent topper. It is called Double-Sided. It's a great name for it. It's kind of gold, but it has a really strong pink shift to it. It's kind of like the one in the Annette palette, as to where it just really depends on what color you decide to put it on top of. And I've hit pan in that one, so it's kind of hard to really get in there. I've hit pan in 2 shades on this, and I'm close to hitting pan in a couple of others. Angelica really comes up with these fire color stories, so I tend to hit pan on her palettes a lot. But that's a beautiful, beautiful shade. It goes perfect with the colors in the palette. And then we have this. This is similar to that same pewter shade we've seen in a few different palettes now. I've got a little bit of hard pan in this. I'm going to to do it with my finger. Really pretty. It's a lot of shine on this one. It's very beautiful. See the little glitter flips in it as well. That one is my favorite though when it comes to the duochromes in here, because of it's just like a fiery peach and it's just so beautiful. So expected to when it comes to Angelica. She loves the fiery peach as well. These are 3 collab palettes with ODENS. This is the Sea Talk palette with Laura May from Laura May Beauty, excuse me. And there's 2 shades in this one that I'd like to show you guys. Which would be this shade. This is like a pink, but I'm gonna swatch it up here if I can. It's like a pink with a purple blue flip, like with glitter particles. It kind of gives off those iridescent vibes too. There we go. Very pretty. Then we also have, that one was called, can't see, Iridescent Shell, makes sense. And then we have Mermaid Scale right here, which is beautiful. These ones are kind of like putty, if that makes sense. It's like a different type of formula, which I do enjoy. And that one's beautiful as well. There's more pink in it than you can see on camera. We have Betty Jean, and this palette made me start watching Betty Jean, and I really enjoy her content. The shade I want to swatch in this one is this iridescent shade up here. Really pretty. It's another fiery peach. Yeah, there you go. You can see it. It's just like so beautiful and glossy looking. Really love that. And I love all the shades in this palette that I've used, which I'm pretty sure I've tried them all. And then next we have the Flora Story palette from Makeup Just for Fun. I love the artwork on this one, the little mushrooms. It's so pretty. And in this one, I also want to do this iridescent shade. This palette is really pretty. It reminds me a lot of the Muse palette by Cosmic Brushes. It's really beautiful. This one's similar to the last shade I swatched, but this one has more pink, and this one's more like a fiery peach to green to gold. Yeah, there you go. You see the green there shining bright. Beautiful. This is such a fun video to film, but messy nonetheless. If you have any favorite palettes that have multi-chromes or duochromes in them, please share them with us in the comments. If there's any brands I haven't mentioned here that you really enjoy, please share that as well, because I really love trying new indie brands. And I really appreciate you guys watching this video all the way to the end. If this is your first time here, again, please don't forget to subscribe. I hope to see you back, and I hope to see you guys in my comment section. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And until next time, bye.